Chubb dislocated his left knee, tore MCL, PCL, and LCL.
Well, that's the end of that season.
That was the last time he injured
Oh,
that
sorry,
knee, I
you're
thought.
right. You're right.
Yeah.
That was the last injury. But this was the same knee.
Yes, same knee. That was 2015, I think.
Oh my. Well, I mean, we might as well get started with that. We started on fantasy football, so we might as well continue on fantasy football. I don't know if I recorded any of it. Hello, and welcome to 372 episodes of We Were Gamers, a podcast now only about fantasy football. That's not true. We're going to talk about games today.
Yeah, huh?
Yeah.
Rantasy Football is back.
Oh yeah, Rantasy Football's back. You know, before we get into actual fantasy football, the thing that one of the reasons I quit a decade ago is exactly what happened today after an injury. So Michael, you and I both have Nick Chubb. Hopefully he's okay.
Yeah, fingers crossed. It apparently sounded pretty bad.
I don't think anyone should look up the video. It's bad. I saw it and I wish I had not.
It's not, last week we had Aaron Rodgers. This week also, Anthony Richardson concussions. I mean, it's a brutal sport. We've talked about in the past how they kind of have done nothing to mitigate the concussion damage and all these sorts of things. And one of the things I don't like about myself and fantasy football is I do wholeheartedly think of these people first. And then eventually the thought has to creep in because you're playing fantasy football. This person's injury has ruined my team.
I mean, there's no way around it. It is inherent in the playing of fantasy football.
Which is so dehumanizing. I really didn't like the feeling of looking at my roster and being like, oh, I have 3 players out and I'm only looking at them as like injuries and not people. It was a rough week on my roster is what I'm saying. And like, I think people are very glib about that when it happens. And I don't feel good about it when it happens in my brain.
Yeah, there definitely is something that requires you to be a bit sociopathic is the maybe too strong a word, but you definitely have to treat it at like an arm's length because I fully agree it's devastating when that happens. And it happens. There's just nothing you can do. It's completely out of your control and there's no way to know. And you're right, it just wrecks your season, right? And
Yeah. I mean,
first and foremost, it wrecks that person's season
or life. You're talking about this guy's possible livelihood. I don't know. I didn't want to start on a sour note, but it was the only thing I could think of when you guys I'd already had the Anthony Richardson concussion and was thinking, okay, well, I hope he comes back and they don't treat him like Andrew Luck and he gets broken in 2 years or, whatever. And, you can kind of write that one off. And then it's like, oh, we're texting about Nick Chubb, with a nasty knee injury and the fight it off as long as you want. But the thoughts eventually creep in like, how am I going to fix this roster now? So, well, still looks like I'll win my game for the week. How'd you guys do?
I needed Nick Chubb to have a good game to save my week.
Oh, well, it's not his fault.
He was doing good.
Yeah, he would have been doing good enough, I think, the way he was going. And
Anthony Richardson went out in the first quarter and still scored 17 points.
Yeah, he was having a great game.
Yeah, I mean, I think I have to hold him on my roster at that point.
I'm sure he'll play again in a week or two, whenever.
Yeah,
I don't know how concussion stuff works, but he seems like he's legit. So I think that's a smart stash for sure.
JJ, have you been eliminated?
No, I have not. I had the highest score in the league this week, so I think I'm okay.
Nice.
Well done.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, I wanted to float a rule by you guys.
Oh, we haven't done a rule in a while.
Fantasy football this time.
Lay it on us.
At the end of the game, each team gets to flex in a player from their bench. They can't pick up a player.
Oh, okay. So you're saying this is the if only I had known, and
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm all against this rule.
Oh, okay. All right.
100% against it.
Why is that?
Because I embrace the chaos nature of fantasy football, and there's no way you could have known random dude X was going to go for 10,000 yards this week. And there's no way you could have known that playing Patrick Mahomes was the wrong choice because, like, some random, Daniel Jones this week got 40 points or whatever, right?
Sure.
Like, that aspect of the game is the best part. Not the best part, but like one of the things that makes the game exciting.
Defining.
I think if you allow people to remove some aspect of that, the part where you go like, I should have played this guy on my bench instead of this one other guy who got like 3 points, and this guy on my bench got 20, I would have won, blah, blah. Like, that's the discussion. And so I feel like if you remove that, you're tampering with the nature of the sport to some degree. It's also why I support kickers scoring points the way they do. A lot of people really hate it. Is like kickers can score a ton of points if they're just kicking field goals over and over and swing a game, right?
Okay, so kickers have a wide range of options.
Oh yeah.
When it comes to point scoring, do you think they should get negative points for missed field goals and extra points?
None of the leagues I play in do that, but I might support it.
Ours does. Yeah,
I have played in a league like that. It's been many years, but yeah, I've played in a negative for missed, and I dislike it. I think I would rather, if you're going to make a change to the kicker scoring, I would say just normalize the score of field goals regardless of distance.
That's the other one that I've seen is okay. 30 yards is 3 points. 40 yards is 4 points.
That is the scoring for my league, right? 30 is 0 to 30 is 3. 30 to wait, no, I have that backwards.
No, I think
0
that's
to
right.
39 is 3.
Yeah,
40 to 49 is 4, and 50 plus is 5.
Yeah.
I embrace that chaos because picking those kickers, like if your kicker kicks a 5-point field goal, that's a ton of points. Like, and if you do multiple 5-point field goals in a game, you've basically just replaced one of your starters.
Well, in a lot of leagues too, that's more points than quarterbacks get for touchdowns.
Yeah, 4 points for throwing touchdowns.
4-point touchdowns.
Yeah, my leagues as well. Like, all my leagues are 4-point passing leagues. It's if you get a 50-yard field goal, you're getting a ton of points.
I do not like that defenses go negative.
Yeah, I think I kind of agree with you there. I think
it's okay for them to go.
Defenses would be better.
I think it's okay for them to go to 0 and stay at 0, even if they're doing like fumble recoveries late in the game. It's like, nah, you still have way too many points against,
Yeah, it's like 42-7. You recovering this fumble does not make this okay, right?
Right.
Yeah. I think both of my leagues this year are a correct back to 0. So if you go negative, your defense finishes with 0 points.
That feels better.
Yeah,
it's even more random than kickers.
Yeah, it truly is, especially because of how defenses get 6 points if they intercept and get a touchdown or something. If you pick the defense that got like a fumble and a touchdown this week, you just won your matchup almost immediately, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. All right.
I will say. Oh no, go ahead.
Nope.
I was just gonna throw in. I think my issue with the kickers losing points for missed kicks are that you can't tier it the way you tier made kicks.
So tiered 50 yarder.
Right. You can't say it's only negative points if he misses from inside 30 yards, right? It's if he misses, you lose points. So if the kicker gets trotted out for a 53-yarder at the end of the half.
Yeah. Our negatives are only for extra points missed.
Okay.
I think I support that actually because the extra
That seems
point
fair.
is supposed to be a gimme, and yeah, they've moved it a little bit in like
What
the
if it
last
gets
several
blocked?
years.
That's my thing, right? Like,
Oh,
well,
look, if
the
it gets
offensive line blocked it.
not the kicker's fault, I guess technically, but also like special teams is all kind of rolled up in that to some level, right?
Yeah. Okay.
Uh, I talked about how I was approached to join a league that had 20 people and a bunch of individual defensive players, right?
Yes.
I don't remember if I talked about that on the podcast, but I guess
Not with me.
that's the solution to this problem, right? Of like the defenses being bad and like you're, being all weird and impossible. Well, you don't pick defenses, you just play individual defensive players, and then you only get points when those players actually do stuff. And so then it's all positive, right?
Sure.
So, I guess that's a solution to that. The problem was, that's a 20-person league, first off, and that means that's just too much. That's too much commitment. And I had never played with individual defensive before. And so then I was like worried about how that would go and my ability to think about that carefully enough with the time I knew I was going to be able to give it, which was very little. So, yeah.
Well, David Njoku just fumbled the ball away for the Steelers to get one more shot at winning the game. So, with that,
there's that Steelers offense.
That's a bummer. I have that guy.
I'm playing against him actually, so sorry.
I'll probably still be okay, but that sucks.
Not speaking of, but oftentimes in fantasy football requires doing things in the right order. I had a question about doing things in the right order. Michael, maybe not as much because you don't drink caffeine, but JJ, I know you drink tea.
Mm-hmm.
What order do you put the hot water and the tea bag into the cup?
I feel like this is a trick question somehow.
Did you say no?
I didn't say no. I mean, you have to have hot water and tea together in order to make the thing happen. I have done it both ways, to be fair. I don't know that I'm very consistent with it, but I would say typically, because I'm using like cheap tea bags for the most part, I buy the giant pack from Costco, and I typically have it in the cup as I pour the hot water over it. I think some people say that's bad, but also the like the matcha part of the tea, they say to sprinkle on top, and I do that. So it's like the tea bag set has both like, the green tea leaves and then like matcha you're supposed to sprinkle on the top, right?
Yeah.
Green tea mostly is what I'm drinking, to be fair. And then you're supposed to sprinkle that part on the top. And so I do that part. So
you
I don't
sprinkle
know.
how much matcha you sprinkle on there? Because I got some matcha going on.
A light dusting. I mean, I have the whole tea bag in there already, so I'm not like I have to. That's not all the flavor.
Huh. Do you matcha latte or do you not matcha latte?
I do not do lattes, so I don't know.
Okay.
Right? That's a coffee thing, right? So
No, it's matcha. I mean, you can make a latte with it's just milk. I mean,
I see. You're talking about milk with tea. I'm not really into milk with tea.
Well, you say people often use more matcha than just that little sprinkle on the top, and then you put it with like hot frothed milk, and you've got a latte with matcha.
That makes sense to me. I don't want that though.
Oh man, I like that.
Okay, look,
well,
I'm happy for you.
Supposedly, dropping the bag in after the hot water is the proper way.
That doesn't surprise me.
But I use loose leaf tea, and I was wondering about this because it's very annoying. You have to sit there like up and down with the loose leaf thing, trying to get all the leaves wet.
Yep.
I didn't know if I was the only one that, was doing it the wrong way, quote unquote. Okay, well, there we go.
When I do loose leaf, I put the water in first and then put the little steeper thing in after.
Yeah. The reason I stopped doing loose leaf, Andrew, is because of laziness and exactly what you're talking about, having to do the like up and down with the steeper to
Yeah.
get it good.
Yeah. So you're not a British tea guy, huh? Sugar and milk and all that.
No, super
Oh,
not.
well.
And like I
Oh.
said, I almost exclusively drink like green tea, maybe black tea every now and then, but I'm not drinking like Earl Grey and Darjeeling and whatever other kinds of stuff out
Gotcha.
there.
Well, Nintendo spilled the tea this week, Michael.
They did.
It's remake season.
It has been open
Remake season
remakes for a while with Nintendo. They are coming fast and furious. But yeah, we
it's
had
been a long road.
Getting from where to where?
Yeah, from there to remake season, apparently.
But yeah, we got a Nintendo Direct.
Somewhat surprised. I'm surprised to get one, is what I'm saying. Trying to say, but not. I still have a little bit of foggy brain, but I was a little bit surprised when you texted that they were doing one.
Nintendo,
and that it was so quick.
You mean the length of the Direct itself?
Yeah.
Yeah, JJ, I think you watched this one too. It felt, even for a Direct, it felt pretty rapid fire.
Mm-hmm. It was a lot of like bang, 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 bang. All right, later, guys, bye. And then it was over.
No questions, please.
I mean, the directs are all pre-recorded things. They don't take questions anyway. But yeah, it was definitely felt like that.
And what are we watching? What do we want to play next year?
We got some good stuff. Some we knew about, some was surprising. Andy, you were a big fan of Tetris 99, right?
I like Tetris 99. I wish that I had kept up better with it because what am I doing? They still are doing those like Tetris cups where you could win like backgrounds and stuff like that. I think I'm now like 15 backgrounds behind. And so, also my Tetris skills have fallen off a little bit, although I did in Hawaii find a really good condition copy of Japanese Tetris and a cheap copy of Tetris Plus. So maybe I'll have to plug those into the Game Boy and still see how old school Tetris feels.
Or you could forget all that and hop on the newest 99 train, which is F-Zero 99.
I heard that maybe this is a remake, kind of. I don't trust them after they shut down Mario 35.
I can say I've seen some streamers playing this game, and it looks pretty fun. Like, I'm not gonna lie.
Is it out already?
Yeah, dude, they dropped it that day.
Direct, yeah.
Oh, I should go install this.
Yeah, you should. Yes. Huh. It looks like it's very fun. It's, you're playing F-Zero and like SNES F-Zero, right? So like,
yeah,
right.
You're drifting, you're doing all that stuff with now the added elements of there's like a whole bunch of other people, and you have like some spin attack moves and stuff that you can't use all the time. And then there's like I don't know, Mike, how do you explain the thing? You know what I'm talking about? The Skyway thing? What is that thing?
Yeah, it's like, as I understand it, it's like it's a gauge, I think, that you power up as you're racing, and you can jump up to a higher level, like a higher raceway, and just boost your way past most of the field, and then when it runs out, you drop back down.
And crucially, the higher level raceway doesn't have like the jumps or the bumps or like the hazards or anything like that, right? And it's like much smoother and straighter than the regular raceway is.
Yeah, so you want to be up there as much as you can get up there.
And you will be gaining positions just by being there, right? Because it's like, it doesn't quite cut a corner, but it's like the corner goes way out and it kind of just does like a little and then, you're making up time everywhere while you're up there.
That's cool. So okay, so it's like it's just another
to me,
99 style race that is pretty popular.
Yeah, it looks like complete chaos and a lot of fun.
Awesome. All right, I could do that. We'll talk about another racing game later.
Oh, nice. What else was big? We're getting a remake of Paper Mario: The Thousand Year Door.
The good one, the one that everyone likes,
The
right?
GameCube one, yeah.
They already made a Paper Mario for the Switch. Am I wrong about that?
You're correct.
They did.
I believe that
Yes.
was Super Paper Mario? Question mark?
No, that one had a title. Origami King. I think that
There
was
you
the
go.
Switch one.
That is
Okay.
it.
You are correct.
Yes. So yeah, this one is a remake of the beloved GameCube one, Thousand Year Door.
The very hard to get GameCube one, I think.
Yeah, I think it's one of those games that once people get a copy, they don't want to give it up.
Yeah. Very cool.
My understanding is this one is the beloved one that like everyone agrees is the best one of these Paper Marios. So good on them, I guess.
Yep.
Guess I'll have to try it. I don't know that I've played a Paper Mario.
I have not played one since the original.
Okay.
So we'll see. I have Origami King. I just have not gotten the chance to play it. But the Thousand Year Door looked really good. The art style holds up really well. So I'm excited to see more of this one.
Anything that helps hold up the Switch, prop it up at this point, right?
Quick release games before we start selling a new console. Quick.
Keep it alive as long as you can.
Yep. What else? They showed more of the near and dear to me. They showed a little more of that new Prince of Persia, which still looks really good.
Ooh.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Princess Peach is getting her own game.
Yeah, I wanted to talk about that for a sec. That game is like, and there's like I don't know what the the reductive take on it I saw is like, oh, Peach is Kirby now.
Ouch.
And I that's not fair, I don't think.
See,
But,
I looked
kinda.
at it and saw more of the costumes from Super Mario Galaxy.
it definitely has like a stage play acting type conceit to it. So like the costume stuff makes sense, right? That's
Or
why Peach is
Odyssey, not
changing
Galaxy.
costumes all the time, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
sure.
But I think the thing I don't understand about that game is like, what is the actual gameplay? I don't think they've shown much of them playing the game.
No, not really. The trailer that they showed was more cinematic than it was gameplay.
So I'm still kind of like, what actually is this game? Is it like, one of those more recent Kirby games where you're kind of running around and using the various costumes to do things on the level, in which case then the Kirby comparison maybe is kind of apt? Or is it something different, like closer to Mario or closer to, Mario Odyssey or any of those kinds of games where it's a 3D world and you're just going through a level platforming kind of stuff. And the costumes are just like, the cat costume or whatever, the fire flower, right?
Right. Well,
So
we'll have to find out pretty soon here because I think it comes out in 6 months.
yeah, feels like that one is one where like I'm cautiously excited because I don't know if I can even remember there was a time that Peach got a game, like a Peach headline game, right?
I can't think of one. I mean,
No.
I
So
I don't
I'm
have the
hoping that's
most
good.
extensive knowledge. Maybe hopefully somebody would tell us if there was, but no research.
Yeah, write in, folks. Podcast at We Were Gamers. Let us know if there was some Peach game that we never heard of. But I think that might be like Nintendo doing new stuff. Oh my gosh! Like yes, please, hopefully, right?
Even in and amongst all the remakes.
Yeah. So that's my hope for that is that it's like something new and interesting.
That's the Kirby joke, right? Is that Kirby got the new and interesting stuff? When the Mario main title, like they would experiment with stuff in Kirby games and then throw it in Mario later if it worked. That's the Kirby joke. And now
the sandbox.
now Kirby is just relegated to like, oh, what about like how do we like make multiplayer a thing, or like can we make what was the most recent one they tried with him where it was like they were trying to bring back those Street Pass style games or those like little mini like Rusty's Real Deal baseball style games. So they brought like that Kirby like multi-warrior game or whatever it was.
I think you're forgetting about the Kirby and the Forgotten something.
The open world one?
Yeah, the most recent one that came out. It was like a straight up open world, like run around on a map and then go into levels and use your various Kirby powers to move blocks around, almost like Mario 3D World,
I was
maybe, I
gonna
guess.
say they reversed the formula that you were just talking about, Andy. They said, "What if Kirby played like a Mario game?"
Yeah, that's what I mean. Maybe my exact analogies aren't perfect, but it feels like Kirby has been kind of weirdly sidelined into doing odd jobs.
I think that's fair. I think there's definitely a case of like Kirby is the also ran of their franchises, right? It's
Yeah,
like, oh,
but
we have all these like big franchises, then Kirby is also here.
but he's got enough of a following that he can't be put in bad games anymore. They have to make good Kirby games, or at least interesting ones, or new types of ones, or like.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's why you get that game, right? It's like, well, we can't ignore these Kirby fans forever. Let's like,
he
toss
can't
him a
get
bone over here.
shovelware. Yeah,
Toss him a bone over here, and then we can go back to ignoring him. Leave him in Smash, and then that'll be it, right?
Sure. My guess would be a Peach game would be very similar to a Mario game, wouldn't it?
I don't know. They haven't shown anything.
We can only speculate.
But yeah, I hope that ends up being good.
Yeah. I was heartened by the additional footage they showed of Super Mario RPG as well.
Game looks pretty good, man. Kind of surprised at how good it looks.
Yeah, so I read a little bit about it too after the direct. So you'll be able to play the original SNES version of the music if you want. And then they've also introduced this is a common trend, I think, in more modern RPGs, especially remakes, but they've added in an easy mode that you can toggle on and off on the fly if you'd rather just experience the story of the game.
Oh man. Okay. Oh, we now I've got two things to talk about later.
Uh-oh.
No, it's fine. When we get to games. If we're done with the direct, we can talk about that stuff.
No. There's one more thing. More remakes. Got to talk about more remakes. We're not there yet. Mario versus Donkey Kong.
Yeah, that's an old Game Boy Advance game.
I don't even remember it.
Yeah, it's like it's not it is like an old Game Boy Advance game, right? But it's like a a straight up like Mario and Donkey Kong together platformer kind of thing.
Yeah, it's a what did they describe it as?
Like
it's
Mario
a
and Luigi's
puzzler
type thing. A platform puzzle, so like shifting platforms for your partner to play on and stuff like that.
Yeah, or for if you're in single player for yourself, you have to figure out there's a key on screen and you got to hit the buttons in the right order to switch the blocks to get yourself to it. And
okay, cool. That's right on. I'm into that. I'm trying to find pictures of the advanced game because I want to see. It looks good. This looks fun.
The new one definitely looks like something that was built in Mario Maker to me.
Oh no.
No, I mean that in a good way.
That's looks like Mario Maker parentheses derogatory is usually what that means. That's not a good thing.
Yeah. That is not how I meant this, but
that's funny though that you said it.
Are you trying to imply, Michael? Let's find some better terminology here. Do you think it looks chaotic? Or are you saying it looks
homebrewed?
Okay, yeah. What kind of sense are you getting from that feeling as opposed to saying it looks like Mario Maker? That it looks like it's actually challenging, because that's another thing Nintendo sometimes doesn't do.
I think that to me is that it looks like you got to stop and think a little bit before you just start charging ahead, unlike maybe a typical Mario game where you can just sort of run and jump and
you mean
make
like a Sonic game?
On the fly. Oh yeah, even more so, right?
Wow. We're just dunking on Nintendo constantly.
But yeah, it looks like it. I think that it looks like they did a good job with the remake, and it looks like it would be a fun game either to spend some time on or to play as a multiplayer.
Yeah. Man, I'm so much to talk about now.
And one more. I don't know. Do you have more from the direct, Michael? There's one more.
If you've got one more, hit it. Yeah.
The game that I know Michael and I are excited for, Eiyuden Chronicle 100
Trombone
Heroes,
Champ?
got a release date.
What?
Oh,
Trombone Champ's already out. Wait,
I
isn't
know.
it?
Trombone Champ was they announced that it's coming to Switch in the direct.
Oh, okay. Nice. That game is weird.
Yes. But yeah.
I care about that. I backed that thing.
Yeah, I didn't remember if you had actually backed it or not, Andy,
I did.
But yeah,
I got that. I got that preview game, and I gave Michael the code because I ended up playing it on Game Pass for free.
Oh, that's
yes.
right.
Yes, and thank you for that.
Yeah. So they showed a trailer for Eiyuden Chronicle.
The 100 Heroes.
Yes, thank you. We don't want
from
to
the makers of Suikoden and Suikoden 2,
and a bunch of other stuff. But yes, that trailer looks pretty sweet. I think the visuals were pretty striking at times, and I was like, oh wow, okay, this is like a real, they're really like committing to the 2D sprite thing, and then also really not committing to the 2D thing, right? At the same time.
3D world, but 2D sprites, huh?
Yeah, the trailer, the dynamic scenes in the battle.
Oh, there's a full-on trailer?
Impressive. Yeah,
there is.
Oh, I'm gonna have to watch that
I think it's
because
on Steam now too. If you want to,
I really have been waiting to see what I paid for.
It's pretty. The dynamic stuff in the battle is pretty similar to kind of what they showed off. Well, it's not that similar to what they showed off in the Kickstarter as the like, oh, here's our test demo footage or whatever.
Sure.
But it is dynamic like that, which is very striking when you see it. Put up against the like character running through town or whatever.
Okay.
So
nice.
I'm excited for that still. Now that my Suikoden 1+2 remake got delayed out of this year, so
till when?
One. Konami.
Till Konami.
Not this year.
Yeah.
That's all they said.
That's okay, JJ, because you get Legend of Nayuta Boundless Trails, the English version, dropping tomorrow.
Ugh, who has time?
Huh. I don't. That's the answer. I don't.
Yeah.
Oh my.
I haven't even started Baldur's Gate, and I'm still working on Armored Core. Like, who's got time for this stuff, man?
I don't know. I would love to play Baldur's Gate or Armored Core or heck, even Diablo 4 maybe, or
you got time for Armored Core, Andy. Armored Core is nice. It has missions, and then they're over, and then they're done.
I mean, Dune Spice Wars is out at 1.0 now too.
Yeah,
that looks good.
That Star Trek strategy game is coming out pretty soon, I think. Yep. Also,
we're gonna have to talk about that at some point. Jeez, crow,
fire hose.
Yeah, it's so much. It's great, but it's so much.
We're drowning. Stop! Help!
Yeah. Well, part of the reason I didn't get to play the games I was looking at is because I had to entertain children that were stuck at home. We were all sick this past week, and we're not allowed out of the house. And I decided to break down and do it with video games because at a certain point, there's only so much you can make them read. Yep. And video games for me can be somewhat low energy if they're kind of like kid designed ones. So we tried out things like, we went back and tried WarioWare again, by the way. They don't get it, and I still don't very much like the new WarioWares.
They announced a new WarioWare also.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was halfway out of my mouth. So some misses there. That 4-player mode in New Super Mario Bros. Still not very good. Mario Kart, I don't know if I'm a bad parent. I didn't let them win ever once.
They gotta learn.
It literally just became they didn't even expect to beat me, and so they were having fun behind trying to get better positions. By the end of the week, they went from 12th every single time to like 3rd. So
okay.
Yeah. improvement, right? You know?
Yeah.
Well played.
Yeah.
If you let them play online, or maybe I don't know, do you need the Switch online thing to do that?
I think you do not. I think it is allowed. You need Switch Online if you want the extra levels.
Yeah.
And tracks and all that. Or you can pay for those separately for like $30.
Without having to buy them.
Yeah.
Well, if you want to feel bad about yourself, go ahead and play online and get destroyed by people that are actually good at Mario Kart compared to us.
Somebody asked me if my favorite Mario Kart was like an earlier Mario Kart. Was that us? And I don't remember, but it was. I think Mario Kart 8 is my favorite. I mean, that game is basically perfect. I think they've done it. I don't know how you improve on it really, other than graphics.
The theory that I've always held is people's favorite Mario Kart is the first Mario Kart that they play a lot of.
Maybe I just didn't play enough of other Mario Karts. I didn't really like SNES Mario Kart.
Yeah, I never played much of that one. I played a decent amount of 64 at friends'
sure,
houses.
64 was fine.
I never had one myself, so I didn't play a ton of it.
I had one, but I didn't play 64 with enough people. I only ever had 2 controllers for my 64 because it's not like there was ever that many people around. So I wouldn't say that was like a high, and multiplayer really didn't kick in until Xbox, you know, and like live and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, the GoldenEye is the only exception there, right?
Right.
Sure. But people brought controllers, right? And
yep.
And yeah. So we would have like specific sleepovers to play for Perfect Dark or whatever. 4-player. You'd have to bring your controller. Surprise of the week was, I don't know, I think I may have talked about how bad the new iteration of Mario Party was. I don't know if I talked about that on here.
Which one?
So the Switch first release of Mario Party, the quote unquote redesigned for the Switch Mario Party.
Okay. I've played this one.
Terrible. No good. Not fun. Mini games suck. Game makes no sense. All that sort of stuff.
I mean, it's Mario Party. I don't know. I feel like some of that is par
it was very slowly paced. There were random rules thrown in. The games were not dynamic or interesting or well described. I bought that Mario Party Superstars, the remakes of the old Mario Parties. It's amazing how much better that game is. Like
those original Mario Party, like which ones is it remakes of? Like 2, 3, 4,
and 64 through 4, I think, but they have games from 1 through 10. So there's something like 410 mini games or something like that.
There is definitely something for some of those original Mario parties on the N64 that, despite the games being kind of BS and like being button mash a-thons, effectively, almost all of them, right?
Yeah.
Or ones with very little skill. The boards were laid out in interesting ways and were easy to grasp and fun generally.
And simple and quick.
I mean, the quickness is determined on how many turns you pick, right?
Sure,
and it's
10
like you can
turns.
torture yourself and pick 50 if you want, but you don't have to do that, right?
Sure.
Yeah, I agree with you generally that newer one is not good in terms of the layouts of those boards. They try to make it too much like a big, complicated board, and that's not the fun part of Mario Party. The fun part of Mario Party is rolling a 6, overtaking your friend, landing on a battle square, and then taking all their coins in a dumb minigame.
Absolutely, right? The board being small, hitting the star, moving the star right as somebody else is about to get it. Or the board being small enough that you could just change direction and go find the ghost and then go steal their star. Or, you know, like...
Yep.
And small enough and easy enough and compact enough and with few enough rules that the kids could understand it just playing it. Didn't need to do anything else. Just playing it was enough. They got it, you know? So I was not expecting it to be that big of a difference, but holy cow, that Superstars is so much better. But yeah. Michael, you mentioned some stuff that brought up some interesting experiences we had with Captain Toad Treasure Tracker over the week.
Oh, do tell.
I have said that I think it's interesting that games have put amiibo stuff behind amiibos, right? Like, oh, you get different gliders, or you get access to a dungeon, or it allows you to jump onto a bird or whatever in the Zelda games, right? But nothing game-breakingly good. In Toad, you tap the amiibo and it makes all your people invincible for the whole next level.
Okay.
Not necessary, really, if you're an adult. However, for kids, when playing with kids especially, that will just walk off the level, pretty essential. I wish it was a thing included in the game and not with the amiibo. Like, I think last week I said you shouldn't gate with, or not last week, but a couple weeks ago, like with WarioWare, you shouldn't gate the 4-player behind playing the game. Maybe don't gate kid modes on game also, right? Like, if it's a game that kids should be able to play, let them play it in a kid way. There's a lot of weird stuff with that game that I didn't realize. Like, there's also a 2-player select mode. So at the top of the screen, it says 2-player. So I assume that means that the game detected that there were 2 controllers and it assumed we were playing 2-player. And the way that you play 2-player is that one player controls Toad and the other controls the camera. No. That's a 2-player mode selector, and you could play that way, or you could just straight up have 2 characters on the screen if you wanted. But we didn't learn that until like 30 levels into the game when I accidentally clicked on the menu.
I feel like Toad is a specifically weird one to want to do multiplayer with, because that game is like a puzzle game, basically, right?
Sure.
That's, to me, just feels like and I have maybe a low tolerance for this sort of thing, but like an exercise in frustration, because like doing puzzles with other people just seems like maddening, right? Unless it's like a collaborative puzzle where you can both be solving it at the same time. I feel like something like Toad, where you really just it's all about like viewing angles and rotating the camera and getting around corners and finding hidden stuff. It's just going to be like one person doing it and the other person executing the thing the other person saw.
Right, but the kids don't care. They just want to participate. So for an adult, that makes absolute sense to me, right? Like, I would not want somebody moving the camera on me while I'm trying to figure out the puzzle. But the kids don't care.
Sometimes it's better that they play and not you. You know, I don't know what to say. I think in this particular instance, it's weird because that to me feels like what should be a single player game. I guess it's nice that they added modes that incorporate multiple people, but I don't know that I would think that that's the proper way to play that game.
Well, after watching the direct and playing games all week on that thing, other than it looking terrible on a 4K TV, which no one except for me noticed or cared about, I understand what they've made and why they're not hurrying to make the next one, right? Like the Switch 2 and all that. Like, the system's doing what it's supposed to do, I think, which is be a light system for light games and sometimes crazy games.
But what if it didn't have to look like garbage on the 4K TV? That's all I want to say.
I'm not going to make excuses. I'm just saying it seems like it's doing what they expect it to do.
Yeah.
Well, there you have it. Yeah.
On the realm of easy modes, Andy, I wanted to talk about a little bit.
Yeah.
I've been playing a lot of Armored Core.
I love it.
Game's pretty hard.
Yeah. No easy mode.
No easy mode. In typical FromSoft fashion, the easy mode is
play more.
Your ability to understand, right?
Learn how to dodge roll.
Yeah, right. Or
parry.
Like get good, right? Or, change your build and learn the timings of the things so that you can exploit them. or use different weapons that are better against these various types of things or whatever, blah, blah,
Fair enough.
blah. There does also come to be apparently a patch that has come out recently for Armored Core, right?
6.
Yes. And in typical FromSoft fashion, it's like, a bunch of changes to various weapons is like, we increased the damage on these rifles and we changed these other stats. It's mostly buffs, a couple of nerfs to some bosses, boss of chapter 1 specifically, who was like a big meme because he was really hard, and then the boss of chapter 4 who probably deserved a nerf because that guy sucked. So I think it was, a good patch overall, but I've beaten the game. I've gone back and I've started my new game plus.
Oh wow. Okay, so it's not that hard.
No, it's not. You could do it. It's also not that long. Like the first playthrough takes you a long time. I've now almost completed the second playthrough.
Oh wow.
It's just so much faster.
So replaying the missions is not a big part of the time of that game. You don't need to be like sinking hours into doing that.
I mean, maybe if you want to get whatever the achievement is for S ranking every mission, you maybe have to do that a lot. But there's no need to do that. And you don't need to do any of that to progress, right?
Okay, sure.
There are new missions on each New Game Plus, so the story is evolving. It's not the same story in the New Game Plus that from New Game. I can tell that for sure.
Okay.
But sure, when you know all the layouts already, and you also know a lot of the objectives, and you fought all these bosses before, they sure die real easy. Get back to that like chapter 1 boss. I think I smoked him in under a minute. It was like a joke. The
so
guy
they
was like,
overdid it, huh?
No, I don't think so. I think it's just I have a New Game Plus level of knowledge and skill, and also weapons.
Yeah,
and he's still the chapter 1
this
boss.
Is still the chapter 1 boss, exactly, Michael. And maybe they did make him easier. I don't know, but it probably didn't matter because I killed him so fast. He wouldn't have had time to do that many attacks anyway.
That kind of power trip can be really fun when you're like,
it is, Andy. It really is. You are taking your like mech in like full speed assault boost and like whipping past targets and just like stopping just long enough to hit the like missile button and then boosting back again. You're like, all right, that guy's dead. Don't got to think about that anymore. You just keep going. Oh, take out the installation. All right, what's the fastest firing weapon I can get so that I can shoot the ball while I'm flying and not have to slow down, right? Like,
so other than weapons, right? Like, and boosting being a major part of the game, I know that there was customization in like movement tech, like you could go with treads or other stuff like that. Did any of this stuff end up mattering very much in the end, or was it mostly cosmetic? Like, did it really change your game, or did you just sort of stick with one build and work around it?
So at this point, I have stuck with my build through almost all of New Game Plus, because I know how to play it really well and it's really good and can just annihilate everything.
Sure.
But in terms of like the different movement options feel very different. The regular humanoid legs versus the reverse joint legs that kind of look like chicken legs or whatever. They have like a big, huge like forward and upward jump. You can get like tons of forward and upward mobility that way.
Mad cat legs.
Kind of. The tetrapod legs are like, I think of them as the like I need to be in the air a lot type because they can hover for basically no energy usage, right? So normally when you're flying, you have to be using your booster and managing your energy. Those ones can hover. The tetrapod legs can hover like almost forever, not quite, depending on how much energy recovery and blah 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 blah. But like you have a ton of airtime. Like that's the airborne mech, right? Feels like the floating fortress of platform where you just like hover up in the air and rain down missiles and lasers or whatever. And then the tanks are just like, am I getting destroyed? And like in one hit, what if I had a lot of HP? And it turns out that having a lot of HP is pretty good. And what if also I wanted to use all the heaviest weapons all the time? This is how you do it. And they are slow, but it turns out when you have a lot of HP, you get to like see a lot of stuff. You can like see the boss's movements. You get to learn the patterns. You get to see what the other enemies are doing. And then maybe you can decide, okay, now I know what I'm doing. I can change back to something that's a little quicker and, actually be able to dodge effectively instead of like lumberingly. but yeah, it's been really cool. And I think that stuff makes a big difference, right? It just comes down to the sort of the play style that you want, and then kind of by the end, you have enough parts like booster parts and various sorts of legs that are like, oh, well, this is like a really short tank, and like this one is a really light tetrapod, and these legs are actually the heavy weapon chicken legs, so that you can have both, right? Like you
Yeah.
eventually just end up with like they'll give you whatever you want, man. It's just a question of how much money.
So did they need to have the economy in the game? I mean, did it just get to the point where you're like, well, I've accumulated so much equipment, there's no point in buying anything?
I mean, there are achievements for buying everything, so I guess
sure.
that's something.
That's adding things to add to the economy and make it useful, right?
There is a PvP mode, right? And so maybe things are useful there in ways that I don't understand because I'm not attempting or interested in doing any of that.
Sure.
But I think that it is nice to have choices, right? And also, like, looking cool is part of the fun. Like, I will tell you, this
absolutely.
Game knows,
I mean, it's like
knows what it is doing, right?
Yeah.
Like, this game will definitely do the thing where, like, when you land the last hit, the entire game goes into slow motion as you see the boss like crackle with energy and then explode. Meanwhile, you're still kind of in control of your character, and you can press the button specifically to go into photo mode.
Yeah, you gotta get your pose.
Yeah, exactly. Have the cool guy photo of yourself like walking away from the explosion and stuff. The game absolutely knows what it's doing.
Absolutely.
So it is like, and there's like 8 million options for colors and like painting, and it like,
I mean, so they should have just licensed it, huh?
Yeah, I mean, that's not the story.
Game.
That's not the story they're telling, right? They kind of have there is some like Armored Core lore in here, but certainly having like Gundam parts in here would be extremely cool.
Yeah.
Also, if you want some of that, the internet is here to help you. There are people who have done like the
mods.
No, well, like there's decal editors and stuff, right?
Oh,
so you and paint editors, and you can upload that kind of stuff. So there are people who have put together. You can't make the physical dimensions. You can't like mod in a head that looks like the Gundam head, right? But you can build something that's close, or arms that are close, and then use the decals to make the panels look right, and write like RX 7803 or whatever on it, and
I mean, I see a guy here that has created basically Heavy Arms custom. So
of course, I mean, there's one I saw. There's a pretty good looking Ava 01.
Oh,
nice.
Good point.
They're all in there. If you want to look, I'm confident. So it's the game gives you so many options because it's cool to have the options, and because there is a gameplay reason for them. But I think by the end, right, you will have settled on a build that you like and weapons that you like. And, maybe you'll run into a boss or something where you need to change stuff up, or, you get in deep into the arena and you find out, okay, this guy is just like too fast. I can't do this. Like, I can't go fast on fast. That's just not going to work. We're just going to be jumping around each other and no one's attacking. Right.
Yeah.
But yeah, the customization is there for a gameplay reason, but maybe more to look cool.
Well, yeah. Okay. Cool. I mean, that's the vibe that should happen with a giant mech game, right? I mean,
yeah. Look, it is important to look cool. I agree. It's like, and it's fun to then like go, okay, like, oh man, okay, I've made a cool new mech. I got to find some sweet colors, because like you can change the individual parts differently too, right? So it's like, okay, well, like I'm gonna have like a red and green color scheme here, but then like this weapon is blue, or you can come up with all kinds of horrible combinations if you want to. They'll just let you do whatever you want. So
love it.
You look like a clown, or do you want to be all one color? All are available.
If people made their own custom ACs, should we tell them to email us?
Yeah, I think I want to see some custom ACs for sure. You can send those to podcast@wewergamers.com. We'll happily take a look at those. I will anyway. And send them to our socials too. We're at wewergamers on all those things. Find us out there. And on YouTube, youtube.com/@wewergamers.
Till next week, jump in your mech.
Get back in the robot.
No, I can't do it.
No.
I don't know that I have it in me. I sometimes wonder. It's one of those shows. It's one of those shows, right? Like, there's a few times a year I think about whether or not I would get more out of rewatching something. We watched a Miyazaki movie with the kids, and I was watching it, and I was like, I'm getting a lot more out of this than the last time I watched this. I think, maybe I should go back and rewatch all those Miyazaki movies, and maybe I missed some stuff. We watched Totoro.
Classic.
Yeah, I mean, but the last time I saw it, I was probably in my late teens, early 20s. It didn't land as hard as now being a parent and watching kids run around and thinking about them and what he was actually probably talking about, in terms of childhoods and stuff like that.
Yeah, my memory of Totoro is that it's also one of the well, they're all heavy in their own ways.
Yeah, I mean, and towards the end, the little sister goes missing, and you have to start thinking about.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Anyway, Ava is one of those where it's like, I think I'm just not smart enough. Maybe I got to try it again. Probably not true.
Pain shared is a pain listed, or a pain shared is a pain lessened, right?